Faith in the people's victory. Faith in the people's victory. Faith in the people's victor. That's literally what I'm here for. Peace, family. I'm really grateful that I'm here with you today. It's been just a very transformational week for me, a transformational time that I've just been able to kind of reflect on everything that's been happening in my life as of late. I'm literally here because I felt like this was strongly on my heart and that I really just needed to express these thoughts to kind of give essence and air as to who and what and why I'm here, what I am, what is my why, and truly just establishing that tone so that we can build a network and communicate with each other in this space and just grow as a community. That's really what my entire desire and purpose has been. But before I get too deep into that, I just wanted to open it up in a small devotion that just kind of struck with my heart this morning. And even in the space that I'm in, I'm going to show a little bit more about it, but the space that I'm in just even more so just harped and brought this all full circle for me. So as I get started today and bring the glory to the Most High, I just wanted to share this little love letter with you. Walk with me along paths of trust. The most direct route between point A and point B on your life journey is the path of unwavering trust in me. When your faith falters, you choose a trail that meanders and takes you well out of your way. You will get to point B eventually, but you will have lost precious time and energy. As soon as you realize you have wandered from your trust path, look to me and whisper, "I trust you, Father." This affirmation will help you get back on track. The farther you roam from paths of unbelief, the harder it is to remember that I am with you. Anxious thoughts branch off in all directions, taking you farther and farther from awareness of my presence. You need to voice your trust in me frequently. This simple act of faith will keep you walking along straight paths with me. Trust in me with all your heart, and I will make your path straight. Well, as it is clear that I'm in this space a little bit off the beaten path, I have been guided straight to get here, and I'm very grateful that the Father has shown me this place to even be able to have this meditative and restorative time. I'm very grateful even in just the week's time that I was able to find a space like this, because this is very reminiscent of like the rivers and the areas that, if you watch my first video of me doing this challenge of just consistent posting, that I have had access to water pretty much my entire life. And in the space that I currently reside, or in the house that I currently reside, I wasn't finding anything that was really nearby to me. But yet now, it's not the big raging river that I'm accustomed to, but it is indeed a space that I love to have as an access point. And one thing that I thought was very apropos, especially with the devotion that I just read, was that up in this area, if I can find how to point there, up in that area is very stagnant waters. I find it very funny that, again, down here, you would never know that the river didn't look like it was making any motion up there. From the sounds, from the appearance of all this water rushing over the rocks. Each one of those rocks acting as a filtration system for the muck and mire that builds up in our lives. When you feel stagnant in that space back there, and I'll show a more close-up of it so you can really see. It was a point that I didn't want to wade in the water because I literally could not tell if there was motion. It was that still. The leaves on it Granted, it is a transition of the season. Leaves tend to clog up, keep it from moving as swiftly as it once was. But that doesn't mean that the water will not get to its destination. It may take a little bit more time, but that water doesn't become unfaithful of its motion. That water doesn't stop believing that it will take shape and take form. That water continues to be water and flows. So when we allow our faith to guide us, we allow that trust to build up. Allow us to not just rely upon our own strength for motion. That's when he brings you back. So that'll be my segue as to what my why is and why I'm here. First and foremost, I carry this little journal with myself because I know that I need to start getting into scripting better. I want to not be unfocused. That is a generational curse of my livelihood. But I just wanted to start with some little thoughts that I'd actually jotted down before I even started writing my little tidbits and brain blast. So, out of weakness, we're made strong. Hebrews 11:32-34. You can look that up on your own. A quote: "Do not pray for easy lives. Pray to be stronger people. Do not pray for tasks equal to your powers. Pray for powers equal to your task. Then the doing of your work shall be no miracle, but you shall be the miracle. Every day you shall wonder at yourself at the richness of the life which has come to you by the grace of the Most High." He said by God, but Phillips Brooks. And this is my favorite one because it comes from an unlikely source. I don't know if you're interested in anime, but a lot of times I find that they have some very inspirational moments, so do not sleep on anime by any means. But this one comes from episode 5 of The Windbreaker. "What you need to become an adult is an imagination. How do you make it more solid? By taking those thoughts and making it a reality. Being able to empathize is a huge part of being an adult. To do that, what you need is imagination and experience." I replayed that part like 5 times just to drill it into my head. And not even just that, there's a lot. Like, I don't feel like anime is a waste of time. But I mean, of course, you have to stay on the structured ones. There's a anime entry list that I would recommend. But that's neither here nor there. My favorite is Cells at Work. And that's not for the reasons that you'd expect, but it is definitely one of those ones where me being the health nerd and not having gone to the exact extents of education that I needed, I love the depictions of how our body works. And what I love to speak about, and what I will probably end up speaking a lot more about, is the mind-body connection. But I don't want to get too far into that just yet. What is my why? First and foremost, my why is my Father in heaven. I say my parents. My parents. But I have multiple parents. My earthly mother was a 40-year retired nurse, 40-year nurse. She's now retired. She was once a nurse administrator, and I passionately live for her because I feel like a lot of the things that she has learned, she's kind of passed the baton to me. I rejected the notion of going a traditional route. Like, I come from a long line of nurses. My grandmother was a nurse, my mother was a nurse, my aunt was a nurse, and my aunt was like my second mother, so nurse down. And then my cousins became nurses. Everybody has kind of gone that course, and what I really do love is that I could tell that they were nurses with the compassion and the empathy in their hearts. They weren't just going for a check to make a good pay grade and things of that nature. It was genuinely for the intention of helping people. And what I've loved is that in them, in that line of service, it has reminded me that there are very good people in that industry. Somehow growing up, I just became distrustful of traditional medicine. But that doesn't mean that I don't see it serving a purpose. Like, by all means, if there is something that ails you that is very, very, very critical, you should go to the doctor. It's not just one of those twiddle your thumbs. You want to know what the issue is. However, I do also recommend that you always seek second opinions. So that's just where I stand. However, I've always appreciated, coming back to my mother, I've always appreciated that she's been open-minded and she's willing to have those discussions with me. She's even offered to take me to the continuing education courses with her. She's open-minded, and her mindset has also been set in preventative care. So even though, there's always things that we can look back on and say that we wish we did better when we were younger or able, she's just always, been pretty progressive in the way that she looks at caring for herself and not just diagnosing the issue after the fact. And then, of course, my father, my earthly father. He's a strong-minded, strong-willed, and determined man, a bull of a man. And I've always had this image of him in my mind as just a strong tree, built big. You can probably see it a little bit in my stature. I'm not a petite woman. However, my father is just so, focused and very much the balance to the women in the household. Just respect, but above all else, in trying to serve them as their child, I also seek to serve my Father in heaven, which is the reason as to why I started with that devotion, that sometimes we might get a little distracted on our walk, but he always brings you back to the point of what he wanted you to do. This water still made it to his destination point. They still made it to point B. I, in my life, have still made it to point B, and I'm grateful for that grace. I'm grateful for that guidance, and I'm grateful for what really sets the fire in my heart. So that brings me to my second why. My people. And I'm not just gonna say that in just one tone, because a lot of people, you can obviously look at me, the cuteness that is. I know, it's like I'm joking, but yeah, it's not just that connects me. I take this back to John verse 15, where Christ even said, I call you friend, and I'm paraphrasing right now because I don't have it in front of me, but essentially Christ was saying that you did not choose me, I chose you. And so those people that he chose, I feel as though they're going to be put in the path, in the network, and building up that definition of what my people are, because we have that common goal in mind. And so I just seek out that community that is ready to have that discussion, ready to be candid about it. Because a lot of times I feel like we just either haven't had the space to do so, or we create issues to divide us. And the time is too short for that. I think we need to build on stronger foundations. Even when I was a child, I used to say that, when they ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? I used to always say I wanted to be a helper. And to an extent, being a helper doesn't necessarily define a career path necessarily. And so when people really started to continue asking that question, and you have to have a definitive answer for it, I started saying things like veterinarian, or I started saying I still didn't want to go the traditional route of being a doctor, but things of that nature became my answer. Marine biologist. I don't know why I didn't end up majoring in biology, but that's neither here nor there. I don't know what younger Imani was thinking, but younger Imani, she had a life. But anyway, to an extent, I still feel as though I had spoken my helper career path into existence. I've worked in several different industries where I've just continuously been in that role. I've been patient advisors. I've worked in the medical cannabis industry. That was a beautiful eye-opening experience for me. I am an ally. I personally don't consume it anymore. However, I do think that there's a time and space for it. And I think that conversation definitely needs to be had more. I don't consider it a panacea, but in similar aspect of where people are willing to open up their mindset to introduce that type of plant healing, and it's not just for the psychoactive effects, I don't necessarily lean into that, but I definitely see there being a great benefit in CBD and high terpene therapy. And of course, there's benefits, as we've seen in cancer studies as well. Furthermore, I appreciated being in that environment because it allowed for a lot of people to actually open up their mind to other plants that work in a similar healing fashion, that actually cover a greater range of benefit than even what cannabis can do. Cannabis was literally, I'm not going to say it's a gateway drug, I'm saying it's a gateway plant, and that is why I'm grateful that I had my time in that space, amongst other positions and roles that I've played. But it's also connected me to people that were in that realm where they needed assistance and encouragement and, upliftment to allow them a safe space to heal. And so I'm grateful that it networked me and brought me around to people in that space. And that is another part of my why. I mean, I say rest in peace to Keisha. I say rest in peace to young Zacchaeus. Thankfully, I don't have to say rest in peace with too many people, but I definitely say rest in peace to my fabulous, wonderful, amazing Aunt Lil. That is a large part of my why. And honestly, a large part of why I even think that I lost my sight on my path for a while is because I didn't have her to speak to as a counsel. However, I just didn't yet know the extent of my faith, even though that is the name that I was given by birth. Imani means faith, and Nicole means the people's victor or the people's victory. So quite literally, my name means faith in Imani. What words were I about to speak? Faith in the people's victory. Faith in the people's victory. Faith in the people's victor. That's literally what I'm here for. I am to be, when I used to say that I put this on a professional business card for myself, I am a professional dot connector. And many people have told me that I am an encourager. And so I want this to be that space. And those are my job titles. And this is my job. That I want to be the encourager for those who may not feel like they have someone in their corner. Those who may not feel as though they know which way is up. There just seems like there's so much darkness around them. In that time of prognosis, diagnosis, or that period of just confusion, to bring some clarity to that space is really what I think my goal is. I don't have all the answers, but I will find a way to get you there. If it be by the Father's will, I will do it. So, a lot of this also comes for my children and my children's children, to leave behind something bigger for them than myself. I know that I'm not immortal, and I know that I won't always be here, yet I want to at least establish credible information to leave behind them for them, so they don't have to start at square one. I won't negate what my parents have done. so they won't have to stand. I just want to build on top of, to not insult anybody's, because I don't know who's going to see this, but so that we're not starting from square one, period. I'm grateful for the platform and the foundation that has been established before me, and I tend to continue to build up that house. And I'm grateful to even reinforce what was set down as the foundation, that as we build up this structure, there is truly something worthwhile to pass forward. Because I've read beautiful stories of families who've been able to pass down their knowledge through generations, and it's just an advantage that most, or not most, I won't broad brush it like that, but many have not been able to take advantage of. Because especially amongst my people, we have been so disjointed and sent to and fro believing certain doctrines that are just inherently not true, that we end up, what came to mind was like someone tying up, you know how they always say you have to lace up or climb up by the bootstraps, right? But it's almost like sometimes we'd be tying the laces together on our shoes and then attempting to, like, together. Each shoe, we're tying them together, not our laces up. We're tying the shoes together and then attempting to walk. So we get tripped up and we stumble. And that can be a setback. But once we have that awareness and mindfulness that that's not how shoes work, or just take the laces out altogether. But just, that's not how shoes work. And so we have to put them on correctly and move forward. And then realize that maybe even the history or knowledge that we think we have about shoes is completely wrong. That's why barefoot shoes have become popular as of late, because shoe understanding is incorrect. That's not how our feet are supposed to fit. Are we trying to force ourselves into a shape that's not for us? That's neither here. I mean, that is here, but that's not for right now. So I do want to leave behind that legacy. A lot of the information that I intend to share here has either been suppressed or just not discussed as widely. So that brings me to my final statement. I just want to tribe up. In the same area as being that professional dot connector, I want to build and grow a network of creators and healers in this space. It's not just limited to that, but even as I continue growing through this channel, literally the name again, grow in me, grow in me, growing me. I just think that it would be beneficial to keep the space, I want to say fluid, but I know that also rings some weird connotations nowadays. But keep the space momentous, but allow it to flow and take its proper form. I'm not going to put a box around and constrict what the capabilities or capacity of this space is. But I do have hope for the future, a great hope for the future. And I just pray and desire for you to want to be along for the journey. So to not make this any longer than it already has been, I just wanted to express my thoughts and share this time with you. Thank you for spending that time with me, and I hope that you're down for the ride. If you enjoyed yourself, please leave a comment, just engage, and we'll continue the conversation, not only here, but in the next one. Thanks so much. Love you. Peace.